Good morning and welcome to the Global Rising Summit. Stand up, speak out, be seen. I am Janine Savion and with my co-host Heather Ellis Drake. Today with us on the summit we have Chris Wilson. Well, welcome to the summit, Chris.
Hi, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Very welcome. So reading out Chris's bio, Chris Wilson comes from Wellington and is able to obtain soul information from the Akashic Records, which are an energetic record of everything that has ever happened to every soul on earth throughout time. She passes this information on to help others so that they see the bigger picture of their lives and to understand their mission and journey. She has written a book, The Magic of the Akashic Records, Understanding Our Soul Journey, and is working on her second book at the moment. Chris has a teaching diploma as well as a Master of Arts Hons degree in history. Her career has taken her from mainstream secondary schools to prisons, social work, alternative education, public speaking, and writing and running workshops. From 1999 to 2013, she developed and facilitated her Conscious Parenting course, the Heart-to-Heart course for parents. Her work with parents and families and experiences as a wife and mother of 3 children have made her interested in the soul dynamics and connections between people and within families in particular. With permission, she is now able to access the soul records of others and is using this information to build on her previous work. A common thread in Chris's working life has been the empowerment of others by promoting self-awareness and acceptance and facilitating healing from within. Since she learned to access the Akashic Records, she has been able to take her service work to a new level by helping others to understand their lives from a soul perspective. As well as giving readings from the Akashic Records, Chris runs workshops teaching others how to access the Akashic Records to obtain information for themselves and others, heal themselves and others, connect with past life talents and abilities, and to make their dreams a reality. Beautiful work, Chris. Sounds like beautiful work that you do. So let's start today by asking, what exactly are the Akashic Records?
Well, there was a description in the bio, so as well, but the energetic record of every experience, every thought, feeling, and experience that we've ever had as souls on Earth. They're like a large soul library. They're a repository of soul information, and the information in there is vast, particularly like if you're an old soul like me, you've had lots and lots and lots of lifetimes. So sometimes when you go in there, it's helpful to be quite specific about what you're trying to find, and so that's something that I've learned. But they're not just a soul library. They're also, the most exciting thing about the Akashic Records is the energy of the Akashic Records, and that's what I'm moving into now. It's the high vibration energy of the 5th dimension. It's quantum energy. It's the easiest way I know to access quantum energy is to actually open your Akashic record and be there. And, I know that the energy has benefited me so much in my life. And I talk about going from tragic to magic. And there's probably I'll talk more about that later. But the most exciting thing for me now is not the information that you can get. That's very, very helpful. But really just the energy and how it can be used for healing, for transformation, and to manifest. So I deal mainly in the Akashic Records of Earth, of planet Earth, but lately, I have been getting quite a lot of information, if it's relevant to this current lifetime for people that come to see me about, lifetimes or soul experiences that they've had elsewhere, in other places. But my main area is just the Akashic Records of planet Earth.
So what you're saying, Chris, is that every moment that we've had as souls is recorded somewhere and held somewhere, and you can access this information known as the Akashic Records.
Yes, so I don't really give a reading and go through all their lifetimes, moment by moment, word by word. But what you do is you target the information, and what I do when I go in, I like to get the bigger picture, the higher picture of someone's life, because I like to pass that on to them. So I always ask questions in my head, like, what is it helpful for them to know? What is their highest potential in this lifetime? Why are they here? What are they trying to achieve? And I can pass that on, which actually is a real gift to people.
Absolutely. And can people come to you with specific questions and you access the answers for them?
Yes, it's more helpful if they do. Like, usually I'll go in and I'll give a general, because I ask the question myself, what is it helpful for them to know right now? So that will always start me off, and then usually people will come in with their own, specific questions. They can ask about anything. Like, you can ask the little questions like, should I go away on holiday next week? Is it a good idea to go away on holiday next week with my mother-in-law? Or, what are my life lessons? What is my life purpose? What is my contract with my husband or whatever? So, it's all in there. It's all in there. And also, it's not just the past, the so-called past, and the present. It's also the future possibility. They're all there. There's a whole lot. So you can always go and you can look at the future. It's not set in stone. Like, I can't sort of say on the 25th of February, this is going to happen. And everyone always wants to know when they're going to meet their love of their life. But I, and as I've been with my husband for 38 years, sometimes, I'm not so empathetic to that question, and I probably should be. But you can. The thing is, with the Akashic Records, they're timeless. They're not a normal linear time, so you can't really give a time frame. But you can see the potentials for the future, and it's helpful to share those.
Yes, yes. And just before, you mentioned quantum field or quantum energy. Can you explain a little more about that for the viewers?
Okay, so quantum energy is a high vibration energy that is coming into the earth at the moment. It's the energy of the fifth dimension. It exists in the Akashic Records. It exists within our body, within the DNA, which is called the junk DNA. And I don't know if I should explain that, but what's happening so I'll tell you where it exists. It exists within our body wisdom, within our smart body, or the innate within our body. It exists in our energy field. It exists, in something that's called the crystalline grid around the earth. It exists, off Earth and other planets. And the thing about quantum energy is that it's got a lot of properties, but it has an affinity with other quantum energy. And it sort of has its own intelligence, and it can sort of communicate with each other. And so what I've discovered is, being in the Akashic Records, it elevates. There's so many potential for healing, because the Akashic Records are quantum. So it sort of connects, with the body wisdom. You can just pull in, the energy field and imprints there, and the quantumness there. And so what I'd say with quantum energy is it's the way of the future. Quantum healing is what a lot of people are talking about, and what I'm discovering is that you can use the Akashic Records. It's a really safe place to work with quantum energy. The last thing I'd say about quantum energy is that it just responds to consciousness, it responds to thoughts, it responds to intention. So, if you're coming a healer and you're coming from a place of pure intention and you're working that energy, anything is possible. It's the energy of the future. It's the energy of miracles and magic. And, I've discovered that it's the energy also of the Akashic Records. So, people that learn how to access them, they have that straight access. And, of course, and the other thing about, oh, no, I won't talk about that now, but being in the Akashic Record actually activates all that. So it's activation, like your junk DNA, like the whole time that you're in it.
Yes, yes.
And it's also strengthening, like, the quantum field around you, which I believe is like a little hothouse for manifestation. Like, the stronger that energy around you is, and it's like, there's like little lattices or lines of light that can come out and form a bit of a little mini quantum field around you. And I'm just finding that energy is fantastic, for creating your dreams and manifesting and all that sort of thing. So it's really exciting. I mean, I'm just learning new things all the time in my work, and what I want to do is just pass it all on to others so they can use the tools, to transform their lives into, so it's really, really, really an exciting thing for me to be doing.
I can feel that. I can feel
Love
your heart.
quantum. Like quantum's been my word for 2016. Like quantum, everything that's come up that's been quantum, I've gone, oh, what
Your heart is so engaged as
yeah, no,
you're
I
as
love it.
you're
I love
talking
it.
there.
I
Yes,
really am so excited about the Akashic Records. I just know the potential for lots and lots of people, and they're helping people already. Not
yes,
just passing
yes.
on information; it's giving people the tools to use the energy, which I'm doing.
Absolutely. So, how and why did you begin your work in the Akashic Records, Chris?
Well, I had a family crisis 9 years ago. This very week, this was actually the week my husband turned 50. He's 59 this weekend. Uh, our daughter that was 18 left school. And she basically had this, she fell in this screaming heap, this terrible breakdown. And she'd been going downhill for about a year and a half. She'd been depressed. We were just hoping against hope that, she would, as soon as she got out of school, she'd sort of come right. Well, she didn't. She got a lot worse. And in the first week after she left school, she had 3 suicide attempts. She just didn't want to be here. She became, someone that we didn't really recognise or know. And honestly, to keep her alive and to keep her safe, she had to be in psychiatric care almost, full time for the next 3 years. And so that's a story on its own, and I won't go into that. But it was terrible. And of course, as parents, we just tried to fix everything and tried to do everything, possible, and nothing was working. And I just sort of stepped more and more into fear and anxiety, and it wasn't the life I'd seen for my daughter. I taught parenting for years. That was my thing, and the key aim of my parenting courses was to build up the self-esteem of parents and children. And I'd read every parenting book. I'd used all the techniques. We had family meetings. I did everything perfectly, that you had to do to be the perfect parent. And my daughter, had left school. She had a really good education, and she all she wanted to do was die, and she hated herself so much that she wanted to end her life. So I thought, something more here, I've done everything humanly possible. I feel, but I've got the situation with my daughter. So I just knew instinctively I couldn't find the answer in a psychiatric book or even like a medical journal or anything. I knew it was a soul issue. And I'd heard of the Akashic Records, and every time I heard about them, I got really excited. And I'd read, about Edgar Cayce or Casey, I don't know how you pronounce it. I'd read all stuff, and I just was like, oh, when there's something that that's going to be important for you in the future, and you get that little frisson of excitement. So I was excited about the Akashic Records, and I thought, I really need to be able to access these. And of course, when you put the thought out there. So soon after that, I was in Nelson, and there was a bookshop there called Possibilities, and I thought, there's a book in there for me. So it was in the window, and it was called How to Read the Akashic Records by Linda Howe, who's probably the most famous person in the world. She's Canadian, who's into the Akashic Records. And I bought the book, and I taught myself her method, and I found the answers I was looking for. Like, I could see the much bigger picture. I could see, there was a traumatic event in my daughter's life when she was about 16 in this life, but it was the past life trauma, particularly in the lifetime she had just before this one, that had set her up on a soul level. She was wanting to heal this. And I had agreed, to be her mother. I'm not sure why. So at the time I was thinking, I'd sort of ticked quite a few boxes for this lifetime. But I could see that bigger picture of, the contract between the two of us. I could see, the best thing I could see was the potential for my daughter's life if she got through this, and and it's huge, and that was really comforting. And so the Akashic Records basically helped me step out of fear and really into love, and helped me hugely. So what happened next is, I started giving reading. I discovered like I could get, quite good information, and people were loving the readings. Like, I was giving readings for friends and things like that. So then I sent an email out, just one email, to a whole lot of spiritual people I thought might be interested in readings, and it just went from there. So they told people, and they told people, and they told people. And so that's how I started doing it. And then a friend really encouraged me to she said, I'll set a website up for you. And the next thing, I had sort of people from all over the world wanting like email readings and stuff like that. So
Wow.
I give readings face to face and by email and on Skype. what else? And phone. So, there are lots of people around the world that I give readings to.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
And so, just moving on from that, what are the healing potentials of the Akashic Records? Because
Well,
obviously you've healed your through accessing them and learning about them. Your daughter was healed. So, can you speak a bit
well,
more?
she's not completely, but because she's on her, what I have learned through the Akashic Records is she's actually in a psychiatric. She's a lot better.
Yes.
But she's down in Ashburn Clinic in Dunedin at the moment. But in the meantime, she's lived independently, and we're fine, because one thing the Akashic Records have taught me is that we all have our soul journey, and and I learned, like, I couldn't fix her, so that was part of my learning. I needed to learn that, and I
Yes.
wanted to learn that in this lifetime, and she's been my greatest teacher. But she's still here. She's 27. There's a huge love between us, and I think she's going to be okay. But even if she doesn't make it through, like at the Akashic Records, they've helped me get to a space where it's not such a terrifying prospect. So, so just getting back to the healing potentials. So it's definitely helped heal me. And when I look, at the Akashic Records, I look at, they reflect my journey, because what I got prompted to do when I first started giving readings was to help people to remove blocks, and to use that lovely healing energy of the Akashic Records to help them to release and clear, old limiting beliefs, and these old patterns. Some of the patterns, people have, like I had a pattern of victimhood personally that had gone so many lifetimes, and I needed something quite huge to catapult me out of that, actually. And I think, I'm grateful to Alice, because she, honestly, it's helped. This whole experience has been huge for me, and I needed something huge as a catalyst to bring up, all my, all the beliefs I wanted, because I had, feelings of low self-worth, all that stuff, from all my lifetimes, and it really shook things up. So what I do with people is you can help them release a lot of stuff, the fears, all that stuff, and they're being held in the body, like in the cellular memory, but also in the energy field, energetically. So I do a lot of healing within the Akashic Records, and you get prompted, like this forgiveness, to removal of familial imprints, so the healing potentials are huge, because, as I said before, you're working with that quantum energy. I'm also a great fan of talking to the cells of the body, and so you can talk to the cells of the body. You can take someone through it. You can ask the cells to release, the fear of failure. You can ask the cells to release those feelings of low self-worth. You can ask the cells to release the belief, I'm not good enough, all that stuff. So talking to the cells is huge, because, and of course, within the cells is that DNA, and within that so-called junk DNA, one of the layers is the Akashic Record. One of the layers is a healing layer presided over by Saint Germain, who works with me to do the healing. There's other layers that connect us to our Pleiadian and Lemurian heritage. There's a layer called the God layer. This is what I believe anyway. And I must admit, I do follow the Cryon teachings a bit. So this is Cryon stuff, cryon.com. Really, and he talks a lot about the Akashic Record, so that's why I love him, because the Akashic Record, our Akashic Record is actually in every cell of our body, you see, and it's also in our energy field, so you can work with it in that way. So the healing is huge, and I think I've only got the tip of the iceberg. And the beauty of the Akashic Records is that we're working at a soul level, like we're working with the soul, so you can go, you're not just chopping off the branches off the top of the tree. You can go to the root of the problem, and you can ask, when did this fear of failure, where did it originate? What is the seed cause of it? And then you can, with me and my third eye, like, I might see a picture of Atlantis. Atlantis seems to come up a lot, stuff like that, and you see it, and you can pass it on to the person, and that's very, very helpful. So there's the soul healing ability, but also and I've just started getting into physical healing, and a lot of physical ailments have some sort of past life component. Like, I had a woman recently, and she has this really sore back. She's had to get one of those special desks that are a standing desk, because she has all these. And when I went into her Akashic Record, I could just sort of see her, like, as a coolie, sort of carrying this big heavy weight in a lifetime, and sort of having to pull someone, along in a sort of rickshaw type thing. And and she said, well, that's really how I feel now in my job, because I want to leave it, and I just feel. So of course, when you feel some of those emotions and old feelings that you've had in other lives, it can sometimes activate, the physical issues. So I've started sort of working with physical healing, and with the Akashic Record Open, it's a lovely place to do that. You can connect people with their divine cellular template and bring that in. And so I just feel there's so much more for me to learn about it. And the other thing I just want to say about healing, so there's emotional healing, there's physical healing. The energy of the Akashic Records is healing. Like, even if you don't do anything in there, like, it's going to heal you. And it healed me, because I was like a total cock case. And the best thing, the Akashic Records gave me a lifeline, because I, after about 6 months of being in the Akashic Records regularly, like having readings for people and for myself, I thought, God, I've changed. I'm a different person. I'm not so fearful. I'm not waking up every morning thinking, is this the day my daughter's going to kill herself? And I wasn't gripped by fear. And I could be in situations, I could go to the psych ward, and I could sort of like I could lift it to a higher vibration. I could handle it, and I was just coping with life a lot better. I was coping with my daughter, her situation, my other children, just everything. So it was magical, really, and so that helped me. But the other thing about the Akashic Records is it's timeless. So you can actually go in, because all our lives are not actually past lives, and they're actually happening at the same time. And I find it quite hard, but it's in that quantum space. Like, you can travel across time and space, and you can take someone back to a lifetime, and you can reframe things. It's a bit like inner child healing, but you could go back and, some traumatic situation, you could actually reframe the whole circumstances of it and heal it there. So you can whip into the future, you can whip into and what I've been doing lately is I've been getting my current self, like 9 years on from the sort of family, sort of huge thing that happened in our family, and I've been sort of connecting into myself and saying it's going to be all right, because you can go back in time just to sort of soothe myself. So there's so much you can do, and I know, like at my workshops, I get a lot of light workers and people, and I just say, look, take the tools and build on them and adapt them, and use them to help yourselves, and so it's a huge area.
Isn't it a fabulous part to understand, to bring our awareness to, that we can actually go back to a point where we created a pattern within ourselves, and we can alter how we feel in that moment, so the pattern just ceases now in this now moment. I find that's so powerful. That is such a powerful self-healing tool.
I know, and that's the thing. There are a lot of tools that are easy to use, and that's really what I feel my role is to teach people how to use them.
Yes. So you spoke. Sorry, go on, Chris.
Oh, no, I was just going to say I love running the workshops, and so I could, if you want me to. Do you want me to talk about those now?
Oh yeah.
I'm really enjoying this, and I know that you are too.
Just before you speak about your workshops, I would just like to, I have to ask, Chris, and I'm sorry about this, but I've got to ask, speak about the junk DNA. You've mentioned it so many times. I'm sure the viewers would actually like to know what the junk DNA is. Okay, well, junk DNA is probably just over 90% of our DNA, which scientists have said doesn't, they're starting to see that it has got a purpose, but up until quite recently they've said that it does nothing because under the microscope, in like the third dimension, which is like the Earth has been in this third dimensional space of sort of heaviness and suffering, and I've been here for a long time experiencing it, but the what's happening now is that so-called junk DNA is actually coming alive, and it has got a purpose. And there is a really good book that's Lee Carroll channels Cry on. He's written The 12 Layers of DNA. But a lot of people talk about the DNA and work with the DNA, and one of them is Judy Sartori, who's actually my older sister. And she's sort of into that, and a lot of people are, and it's really, really exciting because this DNA is coming alive, and with it the potential, like the Akashic Records there, I said before, the different, the healing, and so it's this, the junk DNA is actually quantum energy, which we can use, to totally transform our lives and to
create it, make our dreams a reality. So it's such an exciting time to be on Earth, because we haven't really been able to do this in the past, but it's now we can, and miracles, it's the energy of miracles, really. And the thing is, according to Cryon, so I'll just say this because our DNA is open, most people, and I just went recently to Queenstown to the Cryon conference, but most of our DNA is only activated for about 34% at the moment. And I'm pretty sure he says that Jesus Christ's DNA was activated 80. So, but it's a work in progress, and being in the Akashic Records activates it. That's the thing. So people can open their Akashic Record and they can go to the supermarket and push their trolley around. They're activating their DNA. They can do their ironing. And I love this about the Akashic Records, because you can just put it into your life. It's like,
that's amazing.
User-friendly. It's really 21st century. It's about bringing like the spiritual thing into, you can be in it all the time, and you can be healing yourself. You can, so that's what I like. It's not sort of something you just wait every Sunday, and at 11 o'clock you open them and sit in them for half an hour. You can be in them. You can be in them and benefit from them all the time.
Yes.
Not a good idea to go to sleep when you're in them, though, because you can have some very weird dreams. But some people love that side of it. Not me. I need my sleep.
Thanks, Chris. So, okay, getting back to your workshops now. So if you would like to just share with the viewers what they can expect if they came along to one of your workshops, Chris.
Okay, so at the Level 1 workshop, I teach people how to access the Akashic Record, how to get information for themselves and for other people. And now I really encourage people to go out and use it and read other people. A lot of people find it hard, the information, if they just go away and read for themselves, they will probably stop doing it. And it's doing it for other people and getting that confirmation that what you're saying is really helpful, that keeps you going. So I teach that. The second thing I do is I teach the technique for healing, to sort of remove, negative feelings, beliefs, anything that's dragging us down or holding us back or limiting us. So there's a technique for that, and I do a group healing usually to sort of demonstrate that process. But Saint Germain helps with that, and we're sort of removing things like beliefs like life is a struggle, it's all my fault. That was one of mine. It's all my fault, and I've got a whole list which I've sort of got from clients' issues and old patterns like sort of helplessness and people pleasing and self-sacrifice, rescuing, and I've done all this. So we do that, and then the other thing I do is what Cryon would call mining the Akash, but it's the whole process of connecting with other lifetimes, where you can had attributes, you had gifts, talents, abilities that can help you now.
Yes.
And, and I do this myself all the time. Like today I sort of, linked in with lifetimes where I've had self-belief before this, this interview, and lifetimes where I was at, could communicate, all those sorts of things. So you can pull the attributes in, and I know I've had lifetimes of writing and being an orator, and so you can pull it into now, you can, because any experience we've ever had in any of our lives, so-called lives, or over time, it's never lost, that the wisdom's never lost, the lessons are never lost, it's all here.
Yes.
And because at this time on Earth, it's much, much more easy to access them. So that's the Level 1 workshop. My feeling is the Akashic Records until recently has been the preserve of only a few, but it's being opened up. It's being opened up, to many, many people, and it's supposed to be. And obviously the people that are drawn to a workshop are the people that sort of get the nod to, they're at that, because it's, but so the second workshop, there's a Level 1, 2 workshop. It gives people a chance to practice more, with, passing on information to other people. And they also have a chance, we talk more, get more into healing and look at, so they have a chance to practice the emotional and physical healing techniques with another person. And also to the manifest, we look at using the Akashic Records for manifesting and, what they're wanting to draw into their life and attract and create. So that's the Level 2 workshop. And I teach these, but I've actually also got a version, an online version course. And it's like an e-course, which is $77, and you get links to, the material, and sort of 8 sessions, but you can work through it yourself. So that's what's good, because people all over the world that can't come to New Zealand for a workshop, can actually do it that way. And I've also just created like a workbook and a CD version of that.
Wow,
So,
that's fabulous, yes.
So anyone can learn,
Yes.
wherever they live, they have got access to that now.
Absolutely.
And the feedback from that 8-session course has been really, it's really good. So it's starting to come in.
Oh, that's wonderful, and I certainly know what you're talking about when you say that that we can pull on any aspect of ourselves in another life and bring that knowledge, that knowing right here to work for us in this moment. That's something that I work with too, and I call it threading. We thread back to that life and we pull the energy of who we are in that life. So say I wanted to be a really good typist in this moment, I would bring through an aspect of myself that's a really good typist in another life, to help me right in this moment. And my belief, Chris, or my knowing is that we have been, or we are going to be right in this moment, everything. So really we can pull in any aspect.
Well, we've had any, it's not just about dwelling on, the experience when you were burnt as a witch, It's the thing about the Akashic. I sort of say, like, what I love about them is they're a bridge between the old and the new. So they're a bridge from that old third dimensional energy of suffering and persecution and all the lives of same old of, and but the fifth dimensional part that we're all stepping into now, is the higher vibration, the high energy, that healing energy, that transformation, the energy we can use to sort of really change our lives and move forward really rapidly in our lives, and the energy that we can use to reach our potential and to fulfill our mission on earth and stuff like that. So,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's the Akashic Records are really sort of mirroring what Earth is going through, from a shift from the third dimension to the fifth.
Yes.
And a great way of, I just love that.
And so you also offer readings, you mentioned earlier on. Can you talk a little for the viewers about what a reading entails?
Oh, well, usually, as I said before, I go and straight away and I just ask, what they need to know, and then, I can often talk for quite a while. And then they usually have a few questions, and quite often they say, oh, you've answered them. But most readings are about an hour, but if people need a bit of, sometimes they, I see they need healing, and sometimes it can take a bit longer than an hour.
Yes.
Pretty reasonable. I'm pretty reasonable at the moment, and but people can have a shorter session. There's an email option where you can actually send questions, and what you have to do is send your full legal name as it is at the moment, and they're easier. They're the easiest ones to do because you've got nothing to go on except the name, and you just have to go into the energy. And I find when I type those, the words just come into my head one after the other, and they always seem to be like 1,500 words long, and then you send them. And so there's different options, and of course I work on Skype and phone as well. I have been going to quite a few of the fairs, like the Christchurch one. I'm going to be Evolve in Nelson, giving readings there, and I love doing talks as well. Anyone that asks me to talk about the book or and quite often if I'm doing a public talk, well, usually I'll do readings for people in the audience that are open to everyone hearing what I say. So I love doing that sort of thing.
Yes.
So the readings, but it's going beyond the readings now because it's more about the teaching. And I've taught so many people how to do reading that they're all doing them themselves now, which is great, and they're doing them for other people, which is good, So what I love about my work the most is probably the way it's rippling out.
Yes.
And I taught a workshop in Wellington here last Saturday, and the mother of this young woman that came said, oh God, she went home and she's so fired up, and she gave a reading for her brother, in Sydney, Australia, who's going through a really rough time, and really helped him. And I just felt it's so fantastic because I've given her that tool now, and she can help people with, you know what I mean? So I just love that ripple effect, and I think that's what it's all about. And the thing I love, about this, teaching people, is that, they don't have to keep coming to you. It's not ideal. It's not the energy that we're in, where everyone goes to someone, or fix me, and what's wrong, and I like to help people. I don't want them coming to me every week, but I like to help them and give them this higher picture of their life and what's possible, and then send them on their way. But the best thing I like is to teach them how to use the tools themselves, because it's about self-responsibility. And I was never psychic. I could never see anything or do anything, and I used to sit at meditations, and I'd usually go to sleep. And you'd come around, and people would say, "Well, I saw Jesus," and I'd think, "Well, nothing happened for me. Like nothing." But and I just say, look, if I can access the Akashic Records and get information, then anyone can. And I must say, particularly, in the workshops in the last 18 months or so, when I've made everyone read for other people and thrown them in at the deep end, like they're really, really doing very well. And there's some very gifted people that are brilliant at it, and they're starting to use it in their healing practices. And, so it's just that feeling of giving people tools so they can help, and it's just flowing out. It's wonderful, really.
I mean, that's part of the new paradigm too, isn't it, Chris? Is empowering others to empower themselves rather than to want somebody else to do the work for them. So
I know, and this is possible, you see.
Yes.
So, and this is what's so wonderful. That's my favourite thing, I think. It's that self-responsibility aspect, and
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Brilliant. It's brilliant, and seeing someone empowered. Just some of the people that I had, lovely women on Saturday at my workshop, and they just left, walking on air. They were so good at it, and it just made me, it was fantastic. So it's a good feeling.
Yes, definitely it does. So, Chris, last year you published your book, The Magic of the Akashic Records: Understanding Our Soul Journey. Can you tell us a bit about the book?
Well, it's a book quite a lot about healing. I mean, it's got my own story, and our family story winds its way through it. But it's also got a lot of soul information. It's got a lot of information about the journey of the soul, which I've included with the very kind permission of clients. I've included their stories. I've included the extracts from readings, and so it's got stuff about that. I wrote it as a book that someone that was completely new to any of this could pick up, read, and enjoy. And I gave some copies to old school friends who are not on a conscious spiritual path at all, and they read it, and they said, well, we actually enjoyed it, and we're a bit skeptical, but we really liked it because I wanted it to be a good story. So people like that, I think, it explains a lot of concepts. It's got a glossary in the back, so I think it's really good for people that are new to the path. But a lot of my friends and people that have been on the path, for a while consciously, have bought it, and some of them, have had quite profound experiences and said, God, I went back into this past life and I got the answer to this. And so I just feel like, as the Akashic Records is in this quantum energy, I feel there's so many different layers to the book. And when I wrote it, I had my Akashic record open. Because I knew the book was already there.
Yes.
So it made it easy. Like, it was quite easy. Well, it took quite a while, but I think the second book is going to come together much more quickly because I've done it once. But the magic of the Akashic Records sort of runs through the book, and I feel there's definitely an energy there. And the idea was that, anyone who picks it up and reads it will be healed, will have this uplift, it'll uplift them. And that's the response I'm getting. Like, it's, I talk about going from tragic to magic, and it was a terrible, terrible, heartbreaking thing, that triggered all this. But it's actually a positive book. Like, it's a happy book, it's a positive book, and at the end I talk, like my son that's 25 in a couple of weeks, got a brain tumour, like a cancerous tumour 3 years ago, and that was in the last chapter, but he was really open to healing. And so it's, there's a bit in there, it's quite a good story, but there's other people's stories as well. So so the response to the book, has been really good, but I really would like to get it out to more people. I'm not quite sure how to do that.
So where can people at the moment, where can they buy your book from, Chris?
Well, it's not in the shops yet, but I'm visualising it being in the shop.
Yes.
But with Pep's Hay House on it. That you need a platform, but we won't go into that. I'm trying to get one. But no, you can buy it from me. Like, if you're in New Zealand, you can buy it from me, and it's like $25 plus $5, about $5 for postage. It's also available in New Zealand in some Mind, Body, Spirit bookshops. It's also available as on Book Depository and Amazon. So if you're overseas, and it's also available as an ebook.
So the link will be up in your website once I start announcing your website. So
there's definitely a link to buy the book on the website. I think it's cheaper to email me direct though, because I think the website price is a bit more than I think it might be 35. So, so it's heart to heart at paradise.net.nz is my email address. And that's probably the best way. It's on the website too, but emailing me is probably the best way to, find out about workshops, and that's there, and to organise readings and to buy the book and,
So
find out.
Do you have a Facebook page that people can
Yes, I do. I'd love people to know. It's Chris Wilson, Akashic Readings NZ. I've just gone up to 500 likes this week.
Okay.
But I actually said the 500th person I'd give a free reading, so I'm giving her reading soon. And she's having a really tough time, so it's perfect. I think this woman's perfect that's got the free reading. I'm just the last thing I want to say is I'm developing a product to be launched on New Year's Day, which is it involves sort of it's a little product of 4 audios plus a little short workbook, and it's designed to help people sort of use the energy of the Akashic Records to get themselves off to a good start and to, make their dreams a reality in the new year. So
fabulous.
The main way people can find out about that is probably to go on my email list, which is on the website.
Okay. So we'll send everybody to your website.
Yeah. www.akashicreadingsnz.com. Yeah.
What a wonderful time it's been with you, Chris. And to feel the passion that you speak from that beautiful, deep place within your heart, and you can just feel it come out on your words. So it's a wonderful gift that you've brought to this world to help all those that are ready to open to themselves and to know life on so many other levels and layers.
And I know that the world has been awaiting you.
Oh. Well, I said in a workshop recently, I've been waiting 100,000 years for this. I was an orphan, and I thought it's quite a long time in here. So, and that's the thing we all have.
Yeah.
And I think it's time, and so I'm really grateful for this opportunity to step up, speak out, be seen, get my message out there, and thank you because it's time. Yeah.
Well done you for having the courage, finding that courage to be here right now and be ready to show yourself to the world, Chris.
So on that note, viewers, I will have all Chris's details for you. My recommendation is to contact her straight away because I'm interested in the book myself.
Oh, good.
So again, all her credentials are down below, and I want to say thank you, Chris, for being here today. You're such a delight and such a joy.
Oh, thank you. Well, life's all about joy now for me. It wasn't for a while. I have to say it wasn't like that 9 years ago. It is now.
So on that note, thank you so much, Janine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Chris.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.